How's it going, guys? This is Griever here, bringing you guys episode 21, which may or may not be the latest episode of Nanatsu no Taizai Imashi no Fukatsu, because potentially episode 22 will be out by the time this video gets on YouTube. It's not out right now, but I also did have a problem. I just finished recording this video and I was editing, and then I realized the sound didn't work, so now I gotta re-record the whole thing. I apologize for my attire, guys. These are my hangover clothes, hair, everything. I'm just, a little bit of hair of the dog. Yeah, so that being said, guys, though, this is episode 21. Now, I have a couple of problems with the episode, but I did love the episode. The hype is real, and these little things are nitpicks. What I'm going to do now is just get them right out of the way. The big one is the ending. The ending of this episode is one of the biggest hype moments, and it's the thing that everyone is losing their shit over for the next episode. The big confrontation, the fight between two massive freaks of nature, Estarossa and Escanor. Boom, bang, episode's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see it. It should be dropping in about an hour or two from the time I'm recording, so that'll be really cool. The thing is that the hype for this, was based, of course, on the end of this episode. The end of this episode was not as well done as it could have been. In the manga, it was better. And I will always, as you guys know, if things change and stuff, I will remark them between the manga and the anime, because this anime has followed so closely, it might as well be an OVA, not an actual anime. That's the reason I can criticize in this way. I can nitpick in that regard, because as far as I could tell, I believe they're missing the pity line. I'm not 100%, but I felt like that was missing. As I said, I watched the episode a little while ago now, so I'm not 100% on this, but basically I just thought that the ending scene, we have Estarossa, standing there, Mr., I have the commandment of love, do something. You can't fight me, you can't even walk towards me because you intend to fight me. You can't fight me because of this. It's the reason Revenge Counter didn't work, because Revenge Counter is based in hatred, anger, negative emotions towards Estarossa. He can nullify all of that. However, Escanor stands up and boom, 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 just defies everything he was just said. And Estarossa's like, what's going on here? How can't this work? In the anime episode, I believe what he says is, why would I feel hatred for you when you're weaker than myself? And then he walks up, and I believe he does say something about pity, but it's not as badass as he said it before in the manga. But he says something along the lines of, all I feel for them is pity. That is pride. I am the 7 deadly sin of pride. Lion sin Escanor. And that's where the episode ends. Really great. Could have been better, because the music, this show has such great soundtrack. I don't understand why there wasn't an epic overtone of great music or something happening. Also, I really preferred it in the manga when he said, all I feel for them is pity, that is pride, and that is my sin, while looking down upon Estarossa. That was way better, because in the manga, in the next episode, we'll see it. Well, we probably won't, because Estarossa and Escanor start trading blows, and Estarossa finds Escanor worthy of knowing his name. And that's when he introduces himself as, I am Lord Escanor. That's got to now be taken out, because he's already introduced himself. And the introduction is fine, and Escanor is still imposing, still badass, still love the scene. It's just that I felt like when he said, that is my sin, and looked down on him, was a way better way to deliver. Okay, now that that's out of the way, the only other thing is this scene right here. And this is just a clip from the manga. This does not happen. And I felt like it was missing. I like this little piece where Zarathos basically states, after Elizabeth goes up and says everything about, he won't wake up, I can't restart his heart, and she starts crying, Zarathos just bends down and kind of bitches out Meliodas and how long are you planning on sleeping, huh? that kind of idea. It feels insensitive at the time, but Zarathustra is basically saying that Meliodas once claimed that, fire and death and brimstone, nothing would stop him from surviving and coming back. And of course, because Zarathustra drunkenly found out about the curse that he can't be killed, so it was just kind of like, no, Meliodas doesn't lose to something like this. No, he's got a body to come back to, he'll be fine. So I felt like that little scene there was missing, just for me personally, because I liked it. But anyway, those are the only two nitpicks. Everything else was fantastic about this episode. The soundtrack, once again, love the soundtrack for this damn show, because when we start off, I didn't like the opening. I haven't talked about the opening before, but I didn't like the new opening. Don't like the song. The animation's okay, but nothing matches the song, so it feels out of place. I feel like what they did was they had this originally intended, what it is now, and then they went, well, because a lot of shows make that mistake. Looking at you, Gundam Seed. A lot of shows make this mistake where they have too many reveals in the opening too quickly, and we anticipate these two characters meeting, this character coming back, this character's secret identity. We don't want that. In an opening, it should get you hyped, but not reveal too much that's going to happen. And I think they came up with this opening, and then they went, well, we can't do that at the beginning of the season because that's way too much stuff. So then they backtracked and created other scenes, or maybe they intended this all along and it's just this is the better version of the two. Hard to say. Still don't really care for the song, guys, that's just me, but this new opening definitely suited the tone and the beginnings almost of a chapter 2 of season 2, and I really enjoyed that. So we start off, we're still in the boar's hat, all that stuff. Of course, that guy from the Weird Fangs, it begins with a G. It's like Glorious, Gloxine, Glorifus, something like that. Anyway, he, is revealed that they know who he is and stuff, and they kind of trade wits back and forth about, what's been going on, and like, you didn't save me, you knew who I was, you didn't save me, I tried to kill you, or hand you over to those who would. Why would you do this? Don't say it was the goodness of your heart and stuff. And Elizabeth's kind of like, yeah, that's basically why. So they believe that their ideologies are too, far between each other. So he leaves, but with a kind of a bit of stirring inside of his own heart sort of idea that, it's naive and it's stupid, but, good people back there sort of idea. So this is where, near the end of this scene, we see that overtone, that music that I love, and it's the slow version. It's note by note, even slower than usual, and this really adds power to the scene that happens because Elizabeth goes up to see Meliodas. Meliodas is laying out in a bed. His wounds have been healed. Elizabeth has healed him, but it's just his body's been healed. He's not back. His soul isn't there. His heart won't start, and he's laying there while she talks to him, kind of like how nurses and stuff do to, demented patients and people that can't even hear them anymore, coma patients, that people speak to them sort of idea. But this felt so much more tender. As I said, they started the song earlier when the Weird Fangs night was leaving. They started it, and then by the time it reached here, the emotion started to build, and this whole scene where she just is talking to him, oh, well, that guy from the Weird Fangs was here and stuff, and just talks about the day-to-day from the boar's hat that she's now taking care of. The sins are all scattered all over the place. Arthur and Nanashi are over in Camelot trying to fight demons and stuff, so it's just her and Hawk now running the boar's hat with a comatose Meliodas. And we think she's putting up this strong front, but then, she lays down beside him, hugs his body, and just kind of, just open your eyes, please, sort of idea. This is where we get the reveal of one of my favorite characters, who is, of course, Zarathustra, that I already talked about, and everything about this guy is wonderful. I love how comedic he is, how passionate, and how he can change his mood from evil to like a stern character, with the malicious intent, and then from a comedic, crying mess to a serious character to a comforting character. He's got all the things that would make up a proper leader, a great leader of Holy Knights. He's got all of those capabilities. Now, I wish we saw more of him in the story, because this character, especially animated, I thought every scene was just great from here on out. It was just wonderful. I'm not going to touch on every little scene we get here, because what happens is, of course, Elizabeth goes, Zarathos, you're back as Melisukla, and as I stated in the last review, I'm like, wait, how's Elaine dead? And this is the reason, guys, I didn't want to spoil it too quickly, but Elaine should be alive, so why are they talking about Elaine gone? Because Melisukla is not dead, so clearly she's still got one heart left. She must. Otherwise, it must have only been 5 hearts like I thought, because Bond already ripped out one previously, and as far as we knew, they did not restore one of her demon hearts. So Elaine should still be alive somewhere. Now, Zarathos is back. He does this whole roundabout, yeah, I'm back because I have regret towards myself, not towards Dreyfus and Hendrickson. I should have realized they were controlled by demons. It wasn't their fault. I was poisoned, all this stuff. And Zarathos is a badass. He's a badass in a fight. Now, it's revealed that he is also, the silver hair, kind of a giveaway, he is also a druid. So he has the power of druid magic. Now, he talks about seeing Meliodas, and then they go up to the bedroom, and it's revealed that Meliodas, of course, is comatose and all that stuff. This is where Zarathos says, well, why don't we ask him? But I don't understand this. All this scene did was give us, the viewers, an info dump on the formation of the 7 Deadly Sins with Merlin and everybody. What happened right after Danafor, how Meliodas came to Leonis. It's basically an info dump for us as viewers, but I don't get how this was supposed to... All this is make Elizabeth, stronger, have a firmer resolve that, Meliodas will come back. But how could Zarathos know that would have worked? Like, what he states is, come back, like, why don't we go ask him? Like go talk to him, almost, sort of idea. But they don't really, so I don't really get this. Either way, it doesn't matter the reason. It's basically an info dump for us viewers, and still really good, because we get all these scenes. We see that out of the ruins of Danafor after Liz died, it was actually Meliodas, tear-stricken, with baby Elizabeth, and then Elizabeth is, of course, Bartra's third daughter, adopted from this event. Zarathos was there when it happened, and all this stuff. We see that Zarathos also was bested by Meliodas in a duel when they first met, because he stated, if Elizabeth is going to become the adoptive daughter of Bartra, then I'm going to stick around because, she's my woman, sort of idea. And the whole woman thing was at the very beginning, when he was holding her as a baby and said, don't touch my woman. That felt very odd. It's just a baby. But we know later on exactly what transpires here, but it seems kind of weird at the time, but it does end up making a lot of sense. Though there are still some discrepancies with how this works exactly, but that's for manga-only viewers, or manga viewers as well, who also know, not for anime-only people, which some of you may be, so I'm trying to do my best. The other thing is that they go through the formation of the sins. They explain, Meliodas also explains that he's cursed to Zarathos when they get drunk together, saying, I've been alive for 3,000 years, I've tried to kill myself, I've tried to do everything, I've tried everything, but the curse won't allow him to die, sort of idea. As I said before, we get that Bartra has foreseen in his power of vision or future that the Leonis will be protected by 7 sinners, and that's when Merlin and Meliodas conspire to create the 7 deadly sins. Though there's a discrepancy with that as well. I won't get into it too much, guys, but suffice it to say, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the way it's stated that Merlin and Meliodas will be the last 2 members to join, when they were actually the ones who, along with Bartra's vision, decided to create the order in the first place. So how would they be the last 2 to join it? Seems quite odd. Or maybe they're referring to the fact that Bartra's vision showed each sin, 5 of them, but did not show Meliodas or Merlin in the vision. So they, kind of bolstered the numbers to 7. Now, after all this, we do get some nice scenes with a little girl, Elizabeth, and Meliodas, and Zarathos basically saying you were very attached to him and all this stuff. You probably don't remember you were a little girl. We get a nice scene that Elizabeth takes to heart, which Meliodas told little Elizabeth years ago. Don't worry about me leaving. I'll always come back. I'll always survive and come back. I promise. And this, Elizabeth cries, but after they come back, Zarathos looks at Elizabeth and kind of like, are you okay? And she cries, but she says yes, because he promised me. He promised he would come back, and I'll believe him. So all this scene really did was give an info dump to us and strengthen Elizabeth's belief and resolve in Meliodas. But he didn't actually talk. I don't get what this whole Zarathustra thing. Couldn't Zarathustra have just told Elizabeth this stuff? I mean, that takes away the point of the memories and stuff, but really it was just a bunch of memories between Elizabeth, who didn't know she remembered these things, and Zarathustra, and potentially Meliodas' own memories. They were just watching basically a film reel on things that happened. They didn't really get to talk to Meliodas or try to find him or anything like that, so it's kind of weird. Either way, not so bad, because it's great information that we get, and the scenes are still awesome. The music, everything, really great. The other scene we get before the end of the episode is, of course, Meliodas has ended up in purgatory. This scene is quite different from the one in the manga, but I won't do too much comparison here because I think this scene kind of fixes a few things, whereas the other scene kind of contradicts things that happen later in the manga itself. So, or it's just a little hard to understand. Now, I do not have the official release when I read it, so I don't know. I haven't bought that volume yet, so I don't know if that was actually just a translation thing and if it's been fixed. But either way, suffice it to say that he's in purgatory. He's talking to the Demon King himself, who claims that, you know, you're cursed. Like, they did a number on you this time. You've died this time again. Back to purgatory you go. And he's in purgatory, and they're just having this discussion about his emotions, how that woman from 3,000 years ago, and you're weak-willed, and because of your emotions, you who was once the most powerful of demons, the most wicked of all demons, has been reduced to this because of a foolish woman, and, you know, you don't need those emotions. But remember, the curse, Meliodas is the one who states, yeah, those commandments, they did a number on me, but the commandments that can't be undone, but because you cursed me to keep coming back to life over and over, which we'll find out exactly why later, but the Demon King cursed him to never die and have to suffer by continuously resurrecting no matter what he does. This means that the commandments don't really have a binding hold on Meliodas, and Meliodas states, isn't it ironic? Those commandments that cannot be broken are broken because of my curse. So that's kind of funny. Either way, the only key piece of information we really get after that is the fact that the Demon King claims that he eats Meliodas' emotions. Every time he dies, he eats away a little bit more, not at his soul, but at his emotions. This is definitely led to be true, because not only is Meliodas very good at keeping a stoic, you know, neutral face, but I believe it's also because he actually, once again, other than wrath and things like that, Meliodas' emotions are very low level, probably because of all this dying he's probably done over the course of 3,000 years. His emotions are slowly being eaten by the Demon King, because the Demon King believes that these emotions are not necessary for the great Meliodas, his son. So it's a very tense scene, and Meliodas attacks the Demon King. So good on you, buddy. Good on you. Either way, the end of the episode is, of course, what we've already really talked about at the beginning of this review. But either way, short and sweet. Estarossa, of course, standing outside Leona's castle, being like, yeah, can't do nothing. Commandment. Try to attack me. Try to even step forward to me with bad intentions. You know, you're wasting your time. And this is all brought moot to the fact that after he explains that, you know, Gilthunder and Hauser and Bon and none of them can go against him, and what are they going to do to a monster like this? Escanor just just stomping towards him like it's nothing. And Estarossa's like, why doesn't my commandment affect you? And that's when Escanor simply states, I don't hate you, I'm not angry at you, why would I be? You're weaker than me. You can't be mad at you, you know, so, because Escanor knows he's going to beat the living shit out of him, so he's just like, no, I can't be angry at you, and, or hate you, why would I? And this is where, of course, Estarossa looks up a little shocked, but they are kind of standing down, staring down each other, and that's when Escanor looks down on them and says, I am Lion Sin Escanor. I'm like, okay, once again, at the beginning of this review, I told you guys I liked the line better when it was the sin of pride. That is my sin. But in the manga, he's talking about Estarossa being prideful, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly, and I think I am, when he's talking about feeling pity towards him for believing this. He talks to Estarossa as though he has such useless pride, and that is my sin, because they really enunciate that part in the manga, if I'm remembering this all correctly, and it simply states that he's talking more towards Estarossa having pride, and Escanor going, no, pride is you're in my neck of the woods now, bitch. So either way, guys, the hype for this episode is so great. Episode 22. I really liked episode 21. It was one of my favorite episodes of the new season. Really liked it. And as I said at the beginning, guys, these are just nitpicks of changes between the manga and the anime, which I feel like the anime, which does deliver a lot of the time better scenes than the manga did, sometimes there are scenes that are just done better in the manga. It could just be because anime, versus manga, sometimes one is better than the other for different scenes, different purposes. It's just an art form change sort of idea, and that could be all my problems with it. Either way, guys, the episode 21 was really, really great. Really looking forward to episode 22, which should be out maybe by now. I think there were still a few hours left down on the timer on the site I use, so really hoping. I know the raw is out anyways, but the sub version was going to take another hour or two or something like that, so I was going to just wait for the sub version, and then hopefully Monday is, of course, tomorrow. That is going to be for Seven Deadly Sins, the manga chapter review, and hopefully, I'll definitely watch episode 22 tonight, but the review might not be out until Tuesday or Monday very late. I don't really know what tomorrow's going to bring. So that being said, guys, this has been Griever with your episode 21 review of Nanatsu no Taizai Imashi no Fukatsu, called Revival of the Commandments. Like, subscribe, comment as always, guys. Always appreciate a review, and tell me what you guys think of the next episode. Tell me how hyped, how pumped are you to see Escanor versus Estarossa. It's going to be hype, it's going to be badass, and I'm so glad I'm now officially caught up with the anime once again. Expect to see that review in the next couple days at the very latest, and we will see you back here next time, guys. This has been Griever, as always, signing off.